Travelers, welcome to Travel Club. I am Melissa Ryan, and this is what we're doing tonight. I am explaining Travel Club to you. 6 years ago, I was in a bad spot. It was toward the end of COVID, and in general, COVID was great for me. I was in Guam, which is a little island in the middle of the Pacific, and so I would go out to the beach. There was no one there. I felt like I was the only one in this paradise kind of realm. It really was great. But towards the end, I was running out of money. I was going a little bit stir crazy, got really sick, and then I got hit with these emails from my estranged stepmother, who was still with my estranged father. And the emails essentially said that because they signed my student loan that I have yet to pay back. Now, mind you, I paid back all of my student loans except for this one. And I didn't even graduate college. So it was an issue. I owed about like 20 grand around there. COVID hit. Obviously, everything came to a standstill. I wasn't even thinking of it. But then I get hit with these emails, and it's like, okay. I don't want to see my father again. I don't want to see her again. I don't want to see that crusty house again. However, I don't want it taken away from them. Got it? Got it. So it put me in a dilemma, didn't know what to do, super stressed out, couldn't sleep. When I found myself in this situation, I didn't ask anyone for advice. I had a feeling I know what the advice would be. I had been traveling a long time. I had been running around, having fun, living life, writing all about it, stripping in different countries. Lots of fun, let me tell you. Had I spoken to anyone coming down with this predicament, I'm sure they would have said, move back to New York, move in with your family, buckle down with a job, pay everything off, don't stop till you drop, don't forget your taxes. No one would have said, I think you should keep traveling. I think you should keep writing. I think you should charge for your diary entries now because that's your favorite thing to do and it has been since you were a little girl. Why don't you make that a profession now? Don't you write for people? Call it Travel Club because you can't stop traveling. $10 a month, $100 a year. Is that the advice you would take? That's what I thought of personally. And I remember thinking it in bed in the middle of the night. And I sat up and I wrote it out. I was like, I'll advertise her Instagram. I was all excited, I really was. I put it all together an hour or so. I was like, okay, I'll work this out, but this is the gist of it. I went to bed that night feeling like I saved myself, and that's exactly what happened. The loan was paid off. My father kept his house, and I have not stopped writing or traveling, except now I get money for my writing, and I wasn't before. So turned out to be a great thing. Turned out to be the impetus that I needed to get going. And do you know what? I feel like more people need to know that. because so many people don't even find themselves in that kind of situation, and yet they stick with these jobs that they don't like. They stay in these relationships with people that they're not really into. They have babies with those same people that they're not really into. And it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Don't you want to travel? Don't you want to have fun? And maybe you don't want to travel. Maybe you don't want to strip in different countries. Maybe you don't want to write about your life. That's cool. That's cool. I'm sure you have different interests. And I know a lot of people suppress those interests to make money and pay their taxes and do all the rules that the governments in their fucking countries tell them to. And I'm telling you right now, it's a magical planet. It is a magical planet with forces that you can't even see. You can't even see, but they are there, and they are here to help you fulfill your purpose on this planet, because you're not here just to work and die. Not even close. Not even close to close. I want to re-emphasize that I have virtually no qualifications. I'm a writer. I just love to write. I didn't even graduate school for my writing. I just love to write. But my lived experience is, I feel like I started doing out all the right things. Like, I was very religious as a kid, Sunday school teacher, really tried to follow the Bible, be a good daughter, do good in school. Nothing too crazy, honestly. I got married really young. I was like 22 when I met him. It was my first time out of the country. He was gorgeous and British, very romantic. And there were a lot of circumstances, but we got engaged very quickly. And I moved to Europe, and I found myself in these really great circumstances. Like, I'd never been better off financially. Every other month, we were like hitting 5-star resorts. I knew I was set. I knew I was set. My whole family was like so proud of me. I wasn't happy, like, at all. And I knew logically, like, I could look around and be like, this looks like heaven. Felt like fucking hell. I had a lot of time to myself in London. He was usually working. I would take walks. I fell in love with the city. But the libraries were so special. Really cool architecture, really old books. I love just kind of walking through the aisles, and it was there that I got into astrology. And I had always known I was, a Cancer. I didn't know anything about a moon sign or what Lilith means or your chart ruler, like none of that. And I became absorbed so quickly because it felt like an explanation for my existence. And I could see that I would be better off on my own. I would be more successful on my own. I was not supposed to be chained to a man who wasn't fucking me properly. That was important to me. I could see that was important to me. I had been controlled so much of my life by my mother, by Jesus when I believed in all that, and now a husband, it was like, it's not my cup of tea, yo. So I left him. And I thought I could jump into the life that I was living before, which was running around Manhattan with my best friend. Doing that again, trying to take back control of my life. I felt very free, and I was doing all kinds of free things. And it brought me to a point where I was just so unhappy. And I remember I sat on the side of Central Park, like I had been walking, just stopped, and I was like, okay, I'm not happy. What would make me happy? Like, what can I do? Like, what can I do now? I wanted to travel, and I wanted to write about it. That's all I wanted to do. Not super, like, logical. How old was I? 24? No, 25, 26. I asked my best friend if she would go with me. She didn't want to. I was like, okay, doing this on my own. It wasn't an easy road starting this kind of life, but I've been doing it since then. So I was like 26 when I left, just turned 39. It's been a journey. It's definitely been a journey, and I'm not even like, there's so many things I want to do with my life, 100%. But it's a really enjoyable life. It's not like a drudge work and then you get the reward. It's like, no, it has been a roller coaster, and it's brought me up, it's brought me down, it's brought me in ways where I thought maybe I should have stayed married, maybe I should have stayed cushy, maybe that would have been easier. I would have been miserable. I would have been fucking miserable. I would have had a couple kids by now. It's not my path. It's not my path. So I'm just here to share my story. I don't have all the answers. But the main message that I really, really, really want you to know is not to settle in life. Whatever you feel in your heart, whatever you really want, this world is going to tell you it's stupid. It's going to tell you it's not financially viable. You know, like, who wants to be a saxophone player? How are you going to make money off that? It's like, I've known saxophone players, and do you know what? They're pretty fucking happy. I want to do these videos in two parts. The first part, I'm going to explain kind of the topic, what we're going on about. I've got some ideas. I've definitely got some ideas. That'll be the first part, the explanation, me chatting to you. Second part, I want to read you the entry. I don't want to go in chronological order. I kind of want to go just how I feel. The entries on, written style on Substack, they are kind of chronological. We go all over the place. We do. I don't know what to tell you. That's just how we do. August 19th, 2020, Tumon, Guam, 2:42 a.m. I was supposed to be born mid-June, except almost half of July had rolled by, and only then did the doctor announce, today is the day. Nothing was wrong. Completely content was I inside of my mother, but the doctor wouldn't allow it. We were admitted into the hospital and given medicine to induce the labor. Then they waited. My father, a brilliant storyteller, describes all of this very well, as he had multiple times throughout my early life. They fed her some drugs, nothing happened. They fed her some more, and still we were bored, been watching TV for hours. Dr. Joe was stumped until he came up with a genius idea to force you out with a needle about this big in your mother's you-know-what, and all of a sudden, machines are screaming. The technical term is fetal distress. My heartbeat could have reached the moon. The room had been quiet, near empty for hours, but now multiple doctors, nurses, and one harried anesthesiologist was racing around preparing for an emergency C-section. They had cut into her belly and Mom was delirious, repeatedly pleading, "Is it a boy or a girl? What is it, a boy or a girl?" Dad nearly passed out from seeing his wife's red inside splayed all over the operating table. He said she didn't look real. With haste, I was plucked out and placed in his shaking hands. My eyes were closed, shut very tight. Almost too terrified to speak, he whispers, "Hello, Melissa." And I opened my eyes, very blue, just like his. He cried every time he told the story, except for the last. He stopped mid-rendition on that one, and I haven't heard it since. I was first born to my family on July 14th, 1987, Long Island, New York. Cancer Sun, Pisces Moon, Libra Rising, Aries North Node. The first memory lives in winter, myself in a crib, Christmas lights all around, and my parents arguing next to the tree. It was a theme that would continue. The consistent fighting between them was relentless, a gnawing form of torture. On my 9th birthday, I was gifted a diary with an inscription that explained that this was mine, and with it, I could write anything I wanted. It was then I began journaling. It helped with the stress, and I haven't stopped. Mom had grown up poor, same as Dad. Our first family home was in the basement of my maternal grandmother's. After some time, she sold for a bottom dollar price. The entire house became ours, and soon all the rooms were filled. I loved my sisters, a one-of-a-kind Taurus, and a younger, brilliant Gemini. From our earliest ages, we were immersed in the Catholic faith until Mom, a fiery Aries, became a born-again evangelist, thus making several moves for our family to follow her lead, except for my father, a sneaky Gemini. We asked forgiveness for the supposed sins of a God who would burn us eternally if unwilling to obey. Much of our early years were spent praying, going to church events, teaching Sunday school, myself cast as Mary in the nativity plays year after year after year. I enjoyed it in a way, believing it to be the best course of action for my life. However, rebelling was inevitable and natural, I think. Very sinful activities were carried on in secret, specifically going against my mother's endless rules to stay squashed under her thumb. Then I would pray for forgiveness. An interesting way to go about religion. I believed in Christ when praying to him. More than anything, though, I was scared of hell. The summer before 6th grade, we moved to a very upper class town. All my friends were a lot richer than us. Exceedingly jealous was I of the exotic vacations they were taking during school breaks. If our parents had money to go away, they brought us on camping excursions by the beach or to Hershey Park when it coincided with twirling competitions. Once, we drove all the way to Florida, which seemed more waiting than vacationing, but we did fly to see the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Nobody but Mom wanted to go. She went whilst growing up and explained it was so amazing we needed to see it too. Money was budgeted for a year so we could experience one of the most visually stunning places I had ever seen. The best and last family vacation we had. The canyon opens like an ocean before you, vast like the horizon and so wide you can drive for days around it. Mountainous desert is everywhere you look, bright red earth with blue glacier water bleeding through the bottom. The whole family nearly died on that trip because the roads are so twisted, stupendously high in elevation with tiny little lanes, dangerous rock cliffs all around. It was a car full of grannies who changed lanes with no blinker, nearly crashing into us at one of the worst possible bends, every one of us screaming. That same trip involved an afternoon voyage into Mexico, my first technical sojourn outside of the U.S. at 16. Mom wanted some type of tequila, and upon finding it, Actually, my little sister told me it was vanilla. I remembered tequila. She remembered vanilla. That was recent, though, when I wrote this a couple years ago. Okay. Mom wanted some type of vanilla, and upon finding it, we hurried back to America right away. So you see, travel had almost no emphasis growing up. Dad liked to brag he never wanted to leave the country because it was the best one on earth. And in school, when foreign language classes were offered, Mom insisted my decision for choosing French wasn't a smart one because nobody speaks it in America. Life began to rapidly change when Dad cheated on Mom during my senior year of high school. He left on tour as his birthday. Myself and my distraught sisters then did our best to pick our previously more than capable mother up off the floor because she began to unravel in ways that scared us. Soon she was swallowing antidepressants that robbed her of personality. Then she stopped buying food. Next, the heat wasn't turned on all winter. Worst of all, she became involved with a man none of us liked, an asshole Sagittarius. And the feeling was very mutual. He would yell at us for eating his food. He would throw our furniture. And even though we begged her to break up with him, he moved in. When I'd finally had enough, I moved to Brooklyn just after turning 20. My renting days began in a 6th-floor walk-up apartment, and I brought everything I had. There would be no internet, no air conditioning, no television, no computer. But I had over 100 magazines, a bed with 2 mattresses, and a goldfish. Mom had very strict rules for the way our rooms looked growing up. Pink pastels, heavy florals, as though we were eternally 5 years old. This was my chance to create. I cut up all those magazines and papered my walls with them, strung multicolored Christmas lights while blasting music from my iPod speaker, spent the entire night awake and alight inside my beautiful new home, dancing like a maniac atop the wooden floors and breathing deep like I had never done it before. On my first day as an independent woman, I walked to the subway, took the first train that brought me to Manhattan, and found my way to Times Square by counting all the way up to 42nd. I loved the tall skyscrapers, all the noise, my eyes round like saucers at everything before me. It was amazing to be alone, to walk anywhere I wanted. The feeling felt electric, like I could do anything at all. Life, for once, felt free. Almost immediately after moving, the goldfish died and I became vegan, which made me think about life in a completely different way. This is when my belief in the Christian church began to disappear. I remember praying about it, asking God to bring me back because it felt like everything I knew was running away from me. And yet, it wasn't long before I stopped asking. I met my first boyfriend, a detached Libra, and started having sex. Next, I was buying tattoos, as well as a lip ring, which made me feel like the most badass person on the planet. Also began smoking marijuana after refusing it all through high school and fell in love. All of a sudden, there was no pressure to please everyone around me. Instead, I'd write for hours or take long walks at night with music blasting through my headphones. I was going to college in Manhattan after borrowing no less than $60,000 from the bank and working different kinds of jobs. Tutoring, nannying, catering, serving food at vegan restaurants. Essentially working long hours for money that doesn't go very far in New York City. Then I got into the Craigslist possibilities. Already very familiar with the website because it's how I found our Brooklyn apartment. It offers forums in specific categories for advertising anything, selling anything. I started selling my underwear to rich businessmen. Their ads were too generous to ignore. I would reply to their posts with pictures, my face cut out of photos from Facebook, and we would discuss via email, which escalated to meeting in Starbucks or a supermarket cafe, my heart then hammering like a drill when face to face. I remember the first time I told my stoner Virgo roommate what I was up to. She stared with wide eyes. I know what you just said, but I'm going to need you to say it again. The cash was incredible. Easiest I've ever made. Hundreds of dollars to meet in a public space, the interaction, less than a minute, my merchandise handed over in a paper bag before walking away. Of course, they would message like crazy afterward, offering huge amounts to follow them back to their office, but I wasn't interested in that, so they wouldn't call for more. A few months after leaving Long Island, I got a call from my high school best friend, a party girl Sagittarius. A rich cousin of hers wanted us to visit London for New Year's Eve. She explained I would need $1,000 for airfare, food, and going out money. But we'd stay with her cousin for free in a very central, very expensive part of the city. I didn't even let her finish before squealing yes. The night before getting on the plane, Sagittarius was freaking out, seriously and annoyingly nervous. But I was more excited than ever before in my whole life. She began shouting, demanding to know, why aren't you worried? But I had the biggest smile on my face. No interest whatsoever in hiding it. Melissa Ryan, that's me. And as always, I'm here to remind you, if you want to move out of your parents' home, even though an earthquake happened and you still have your sisters there and you're scared that you're abandoning everyone, if you need to get out, you get out. If you need $1,000 to go to London and selling your underwear appeals, jump in. If it doesn't, don't. Sure, that's fine. I just want to encourage you not to let other people dictate your decisions. You do what you want to do. Don't forget yourself. I let you know. Have a good night.